Hey, good evening, everyone. My name's Jenelle Riley. I'm an editor at Variety. Thank you. Oh, please. If you're that easily impressed, wait till you see who we have tonight. I'm so thrilled to be here for this Q&A with Adam Driver. I have to confess something. It was just a little under a year ago. I was on this stage with Adam Driver, and I had written this really awesome introduction, and I thought, well, I'll just repurpose that for tonight because I'm really tired. And it was about all his amazing work and accomplishments. But that was a year ago. So let's look at what he's done in just the last year. He received his first Academy Award nomination for BlacKkKlansman, a Tony Award nomination for Burn This. He appeared in the Jim Jarmusch film The Dead Don't Die, the Star Wars finale Rise of Skywalker, the Sundance Breakout The Report, and of course Marriage Story, which I'm not even kidding about how many awards he's won and been nominated for. During the watch, while you guys were watching this movie, he won another award from ACTA, and he wants me to explain that's why he's in a nice suit. So please join me in welcoming Adam Driver. I love that you felt like you needed to apologize for looking so nice.
This is not who I am.
Thank you so much for being here. Congratulations on an overachieving year, I guess. That's really fantastic. It's funny, I'm going to name drop here, but I was recently speaking to Willem Dafoe, and I called someone the busiest actor in Hollywood, and he personally got offended and was like, but then he actually said, he's like, well, I think it's between me and Adam Driver. So just so you know, your peers are obviously taking notice as well.
Yeah, but I have no choice when these things come out.
It's the funny thing,
like
yeah.
You shoot these things at 2 years, and then they go away, and you don't think about them, and then 2 years or a year later, they happen to all come out at the same time. So people have been saying that to me as if I had something to do with it.
Exactly, like you planned it. You planned it.
Yeah. But it's all good.
Actually, it's funny because I just rewatched. You were here just under a year ago, and you were talking about BlacKkKlansman, but you mentioned that you had just finished a film with Noah Baumbach, and you said at that time you think it's his best film yet.
Yeah.
And here it is a year later, and I agree.
Yeah. I was right.
Yeah, you were right. I mean, but I mean, you must have known you had something special even when you were making it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd worked with him three times before. This is our fourth time working together, and seen everything that he's done and know him. He's my friend, and this one, just in particular, just felt the most voyeuristic thing that I'd ever read that he had written in particular. That sometimes I feel like people write things and they themselves don't even know where it comes from. It comes from some abstract place that they don't even know how to articulate themselves, and that's what it felt like reading it. And we had been talking about it for so long, probably 6 months, or if not longer, to the point where I actually read the first, kind of draft, which was pretty similar to the last draft of what it was. And we had been talking, not just about events that would happen in it, but structural things that he knew he wanted to incorporate very early. So what was also so impressive was all of those ideas that he seamlessly worked into the script, but not sacrificing the blood of what was happening in the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Like structurally, he always wanted to do a movie that played with audiences' allegiances, that where you start with one character, then somewhere over the course of a transition, and how can you start with this one person and lose loyalty with them. And then he also liked the idea of doing a big romantic score.
Yeah.
That seemed to come from a place that was an internal monologue, not necessarily something that was motivated by script or camera movement. It's almost an internal thought. But then he can do all that, but not sacrifice character.
I'm curious because I think your first movie together was Frances Ha, and I'm sure you didn't know, or maybe you did, that this was the start of this amazing 4-picture collaboration. But how did you first meet him, and do you remember that first encounter?
Yeah, I auditioned for him.
Just an audition?
Yeah. I don't remember when Frances Ha, because we also shot at the then. I think he had shot Mistress America first and was editing it and decided to shoot, edit, and release Frances Ha before Mistress America came out. So the timing is all. But we met in an audition and came back, and then over the course of working on Frances Ha, it was immediately like his writing was just something that I always understood innately, and our work ethic, I think, is very similar, and we worked well together, so we hit it off right there on the first one, and then just then he called me a little bit later for While We're Young, and that was it.
Has anyone ever pointed out you guys actually kind of look alike? I sometimes wonder if like directors get drawn to actors that sort of look like them.
It's like people with their dogs.
Yes.
You know. You're like, you guys look alike.
Yeah.
I never think that, because when I see in that we have dark hair, but
you guys both have great hair. That might be what I'm thinking of.
It's our hair.
Yeah, and that means a lot coming from me.
Whenever I see pictures of us together, I always feel like his long lost beast that he's like found, because I'm so much taller than Noah. You look like this this guy that he's found wandering the street. So I never think of us as looking the same.
Oh no, I think there's like a slight resemblance. It might just be might just be the hair.
Yeah.
If I'm
we do have pictures of us on Marriage Story. We realize that we're wearing the exact same costume.
You're kidding.
Yeah, they're pretty funny.
Well, there is that theory that directors just cast better looking versions of themselves.
I don't think I'm the better looking version of Noah.
So what is, to boil it down, but what is the secret to such a successful collaboration after all these years?
I think work ethic has a big, I don't think that people can hide in their work. In a way, you're meeting someone, well, sometimes the best version of themselves, because it's such a collaborative, thing. It's making something as a group. They can't, whoever you kind of advertise yourself to be, once you get put under an incredible amount of pressure, I think your nature comes out. Your what is it? Fight or flight is constantly firing on a film set. You're battling all of these things. You're battling technology. You're battling, the elements. You're battling time. It's kind of a weird thing where everybody's supposed to be at this one spot for a certain amount of time, and you got to get it right the first time. You don't have another opportunity to do it again. It's an incredible amount of pressure, and people kind of rise to the occasion, or they don't. And in a way that I understand, and it kind of has all these moments on film set that are incredible moments of support, where you're doing it now. They're not going to have another chance to do it again, and it has all these moments of support that I think are bonding, or they're not. And for me, it's like that with Noah. I trust him implicitly. His taste, I don't like to. Also, the boundaries and how I'd give myself when we're working on something, I don't like to be involved in what the outside picture of it looks like. So I really put my trust in someone who I trust their opinion, we need to move on, or, to kind of almost tell me that it's enough. Mm-hmm. So but that's also a deadly trap, because we enable each other that way, that we could do it again as much as, schedule or money will allow us to. So I'm not really answering your question, but work ethic is a huge thing. I don't think we both don't take it for granted that we're making a movie, and what an incredible opportunity that is, that we're going to make this thing that will last forever, and it better be worth it. If we're asking someone to spend 2.5 hours of their day, then what is it, that thing that we're trying to say? There should be hopefully detail in every meaning. Not that we have an explanation for it, but whatever it is, there's an impulse that we're trying to get out of it. It better be worth people's time, so why not take it seriously? So I think that kind of attention to detail we share.
He's also just like one of the smartest men alive, I think.
And one of the greatest writers alive.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in a way, he also makes your job so much easier, because the writing is so good. Mm-hmm. If it's bad writing, it's really hard to manufacture what the story is. But if it's good writing, you have so many other possibilities, very similar to theater, where he's given you a lot of takes and structured the day to help you. And I know that there's no right way to do a scene. So, we get to do a lot of different versions of it, and I surrender control to him. And his taste to pick what the best version of it is.
I'm just going to belabor this a little bit, only because it's so significant to Marriage Story. Everyone's probably seen Company, right? Or knows the basic gist of it. Don't make me do the...
No.
Oh, really? Okay, so it's a man who's turning 30, 35?
Yeah, Bobby. His name's Bobby. I'm going to butcher the plot, now that I'm put on the spot. He's turning 35, and he's kind of coming to... Everybody around him is getting married or in love, and he looks at all their crazy marriages and is It's like, why do I want to do that? You're miserable, you're miserable, you're miserable. And then over the course of it, kind of, I'm really butchering this explanation.
This is the best explanation I've ever heard, and it's one of my favorite musicals. So.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to
All right,
steal
well,
whatever you say.
Yeah.
But now the pressure's on to really stick the landing.
right. And then that's the end. No. yeah. Boo. Sana. No, then he kind of comes to this realization that all the thing that he had been rejecting his entire life is the thing, being alone and isolated is the thing that he wants the most, which is, to find love and be in love and however that manifests itself.
Which all comes to fruition in the song
Being Alive. Yeah.
How many times have you seen Company?
I saw the Raul Esparza version that they did on.
Where they played their own instruments? Yeah.
On Broadway, and then I'd seen there's like a documentary of the original cast doing it.
The Dean Jones one?
Yeah, with Elaine. Yeah, the Dean Jones and Elaine Stritch, I think is. I think I'm getting that right. So I'd seen that documentary. That's about it. That's about. I mean, I was familiar with various songs, but that's the only time I've actually sat down and watched the musical. So I guess really only once.
So when did he come back to you, sort of with the idea for Marriage Story?
Well, we had been talking about all of our conversations. We see each other socially, so it always devolves into what it is we want to work on next. And that was he had been at one point. He said he had been taking notes on this thing about a love story told through the lens of the divorce, and that after we talk about all sorts of things that we'd like to work on, and then it seemed pretty clear eventually. Like, well, that's the thing. That's the thing that we should work on. And he then start talking to Scarlett and Laura, and he had been interviewing with other lawyers, and I interviewed lawyers, and we kind of would meet and have 2-3 hour long phone conversations, wherever we were in the country or the world, or we'd get together for dinner on a regular basis, and we would just talk, and then that just kind of changed locations. We would talk, and then we'd find ourselves on a rehearsal room, and then we'd be on a film set, and then even now, through all these things, we talk even now about it. And then it just goes on to what do we want to do next.
So was there a point when he gave you sort of a final script or maybe a rough draft and you saw what he had created?
Yeah, I guess, honestly, I think the first and last script, that was it. Like, he gave it to me. We changed things here and there, but it was kind of on the day. It was pretty ironed out of the script is the script.
I know Noah talked to a lot of couples who have been through divorce. He talked to mediators and lawyers. It's kind of a strange question, but how do you prepare for a role like this? Or is it just all there on the page?
It really is in the page, and we even talked about other abstract things like Stephen Shore's photography, which can be very sparse, and which is not really my job so much. That's more of him and Robbie Ryan, our DP. But even that information was helpful to kind of know what shapes to make. If it's something where it's pretty sparse, then would kind of give me an impulse of where to be in a room. So even abstract conversations like that were kind of helpful in creating a character. And the costume was something we talked about a lot. Yeah. Mark Bridges, our costume designer, we both immediately loved this idea that we both found every time we go to LA, we're overdressed because we
like tonight.
Yeah, right. This is what I wore to the grocery store. You never think of you're just always sweating, but we are because we always are wearing a coat, and you're like, no, it's the weather's nicer in LA. So there's a lot of information there of how do you make this person seem the most not at home as possible. Mark Bridges put in the serving scene gave me this great yellow shirt, which felt so innocent, because he is walking in totally innocent and the most vibrant. And then all the wardrobe after that gets, layers and pretty dark colors and things like that. So, little pieces like that. But Noah is so good at creating a world that's so specific and again has such attention to detail that you don't need to, I don't think, go inside so much to find answers for a scene, because you just have to open your eyes and look at, a painting that Eji had done that he put above the couch, or a line that Scarlett has, or Eji's face, or there was detail in everything around you. So even though we had to do a lot of takes, it still felt fresh every time because there was always something else to take in.
There's actually a question. I'm not going to find it in time, but apparently I didn't know this. Noah Baumbach does a lot of takes sometimes. Is that true?
Yeah.
Do you like that?
I love it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like there's a scene in Francis Ha where we're trying to, I use this as the most extreme example. It's not like this all the time, but there's a scene with me and Greta where we come out of the bathroom for something. It was a long time ago. And it's in the house and we're in the apartment and we're moving around, and we did something like 42 times or something like that, trying to figure out the dynamics of like to do it all in one. But I like that a lot. I don't mind the other way too. Soderbergh does, or Spike Lee will do it in like, one or two, and you have to follow your impulse, and there's something kind of great about that. Sometimes when you do a table read, it never gets as good as that because you have the lines, so you don't have to worry about memorizing them. So all the lines are at the tip of your tongue, and they feel urgent because you're just so excited that you figured out what the line is, that it has an energy, and it never. Then you overthink the shit out of it, and it goes south when you actually go and do it. But I like it just because I come from a theater background and I'm used to, you're going to do a run of a play for 4 to 5 months, 8 shows a week. We don't live in the theater. We have lives outside the theater, and whatever happens, we kind of inevitably bring in. And you're given a great piece of writing that is rich and opens up your imagination. There's never a right way to do it. There's always going to be another question that you haven't asked yourself that will maybe help the scene and make it a different version of, and it's Noah's job to figure out what the right version is, or the closest thing to the story is overall. But I like that, in that I don't leave set with the least amount of regret that I didn't have an idea, that could have made it better.
But with 42 takes, do you ever get to a point where you're just exhausted and then sort of push through that and come out the other side and get excited again?
Oh, yeah, totally. We didn't do 42 takes on Marriage Story. I don't think we... But
I want to believe you punched that wall 42 times.
No, but it was like something like 10 to 15 times.
Really?
Yeah, something about it, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we ran out of a wall and would have to flip it upside down, and then... and I think we have a photo of like all the walls that we...
like lined up?
Yeah.
Did Noah actually said that at one point you punched it so hard you almost punched through the wall on the opposite side?
Yeah, I think it was...
It's a breakaway wall, I should point out.
Yeah. Well, I think that's right. But I think it was double layered, so I punched through the... Yeah.
What I'm saying is you're strong.
Yeah, right.
It was a backhanded compliment,
Okay.
but it ultimately... No, I think he said there's a photo of you where you had... Because even though it's a breakaway wall...
Yeah, it hurts.
It hurts.
Yeah. It doesn't feel good. And all that scene is about momentum. We shot that scene for 2 days, and we had one camera that we were just pushing around, and it was incredibly choreographed, like a play, theater. And that's why I like Noah's writing so much. It's very theatrical, and the lines are the lines, and that's fine. I don't. The boundaries are clear. The intention is up for grabs. That you can improv, whatever it is, but you have to stay within the boundaries of what these lines are. And we shot it in order, the fight. So on the second day of shooting, we would start from the beginning, even though it's off camera, because you kind of need the beginning of the scene to get to the end. So every time we did it, we would run it, from top to tail. And, then you don't really think about the wall until it's over.
Yeah. It's so brutal to watch. I'm curious, because we've talked before about how it's kind of impossible not to take your characters home with you some nights. During those 2 days in particular, were you a fun person to be around?
I'm normally not a fun person to be around.
I disagree.
Yeah. Those were hard days. I'm not trying to make it sound like, it was so hard. Feel bad.
No, I think it would be horrible to be in that emotional state.
Yeah, well, I was describing it to you. It's kind of like jet lag, where you go to a different. You fly to Hawaii or.
Just got back from Hawaii. Thank you for the name drop.
You're welcome. Kauai.
Yeah,
right.
Came back just for this, my first Q&A of the year. So it's all downhill from here.
You go to London or Hawaii, and the time is different, so you need a couple days of adjusting to what that time is, and then you've adjusted and you're used to being there. And then if you go back, you need to adjust. That's what, I think shooting a movie is like. You're in this world, in this different country, and your body inevitably is living in that time zone. And whatever those emotions are, you're feeling all day. And without a conscious actory, kind of a feeling, even without thinking about it, your biology is just used to being in this state of, similar to doing a play. You feel that, at 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, you feel your body starting to get more anxious and ramped up because you can't help it. It's where your body is used to living. And so that scene in particular, it was just 2 days of it. And, you're not a social person. I don't think any of us were talking that much. And Noah made up this good point, or mentioned this good point the other day, that even the crew treated it like it was a romantic scene, where we were naked, like a sex scene.
Yeah.
Where the boom mic was looking away, and there wasn't a lot of talk, and there was a limited amount of people on set that we could possibly do. We reduced the noise as much as we could, and we took breaks, and we're shooting at this weird apartment complex, and I had a room upstairs, and Scarlett had a room down a couple doors down, and we didn't, there wasn't a lot of talking, and it wasn't some kind of thing. It's just, we didn't talk about it. It's just kind of something that naturally happened,
I feel like actors talk a lot about, there's always at least one scene on the call sheet where they're excited for it, but they're also kind of dreading it. Yeah. Was this scene that, or maybe that was being alive?
All of these scenes, I don't mean to but there is that's true. There's always a couple scenes that you're dreading in the schedule, but because every scene in this, the stakes were so incredibly high, they all seemed too early in the schedule for us to be doing it. Like the scene with the mediator, with Martha Kelly. I'm like, this is too soon.
Oh my God,
I don't
she's
know.
so good.
Yeah, she's great. Or Halloween. Halloween seems too soon. All of them seemed, and even seems that were pretty innocuous, coming in with Edgy, into a lawyer's office, or scenes with Alan. Because it's Alan, they would just take on a whole. He would just do something that I hadn't thought of before. That was so beautiful that it's hard not to. Be affected by it. So they all seem to be big, epic scenes. Speaking
of Alan Alda, who doesn't love Alan Alda, you won another award last night at Palm Springs. Oh, yeah. Your mantle is going to be insane by the end of this year. But you mentioned something about him shooting off fireworks in a parking lot.
Oh,
was
no,
that
I was
true?
just kidding.
You were kidding.
Yeah,
Okay. Because I love the mental image of that.
Yeah, no. No, he didn't do that. No, I was saying there's a lot of things that you battle on a set. Right. One of them which being Alan Alda drunk setting off firecrackers in the parking lot. But no,
I want to believe that's true.
Yeah, no. But the thing you can believe, what you can assume from watching him, is that he is who you think he is, and which is, I don't think it doesn't always match up with actor versus who you think they are, and that's not necessarily good or bad. But if he represents himself as an incredible listener and someone who is a completely present and very generous, and that's exactly what he's like to work with.
I got to meet him this year, and someone asked me what he was like, and I was like, he's so Alan Alda-y. Yeah. He just is that guy, and he's like your biggest fan, which is the cutest thing.
I love him. I think he's such a rare. Who am I to say that he is a rare person? But he is one of the most generous, humble, nicest people that I know. Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't want him as my lawyer.
I wouldn't. No. Right. Yeah.
No, Bert is a good lawyer, but
Yeah, he says the thing that we all believe, but is just ineffective.
By the way,
in this instance,
was there an end to that joke? Because we never get to hear it.
There is. I
won't make you say it.
I would, but it would suck. The way Alan says it is really funny.
I'm sure. Yeah. I will ask him. I was just curious if watching it, I was like, is there really a punchline, or is that just open-ended? Yeah. Okay, that'll be the mystery. That'll be the what's in the briefcase of Marriage Story. You have this amazing cast, though. Yeah. You mentioned Martha Kelly, who is It's just so astounding in that scene. You get to work with Laura Dern. I mean, obviously, you don't have a friendly relationship on screen, but she's amazing. And your scenes with Ray Liotta are so wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
thank you. he is wonderful.
He's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the young actor Aji, is that how you pronounce his name?
Yeah, Aji Robertson.
Aji Robertson. There's that old saying, never work with children or animals. You work with both in this, actually.
That's a saying to not work with them?
Yeah, you never heard that?
No.
I think it's W.C. Fields said it, and he was cranky.
Oh, I feel the opposite. That they're, I mean, you don't want to, I wouldn't want to do a whole thing, but kids, not to equate them together, but kids and animals, I feel like are some of the best actors because they're totally unpredictable and often very unaware of what's happening. You have no idea what they're going to do, and so you're always at the front of your feet when and they might go to the bathroom at any minute. I like working with kids and animals.
I think the expression might have been never work with children or animals, but I think it was more that they steal scenes from you. Was
true.
Maybe what his anger was. I don't know. Okay. He was cranky.
Okay.
You had a great dog in Patterson.
Yeah.
I mean, you've actually had really good luck.
Yeah, I had. May she rest in peace. She died.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, not to bring it down. Yeah.
Well, it was a she.
She, was playing a different gender.
Oh, she had a good run.
Yeah, she did.
But you have to create this instant family, and maybe not instant because you had rehearsals. But I'm sort of curious. You really do feel like a family unit, and how did you sort of go about building that?
That's again is, I think, a testament to Noah in picking, curating every department and communicating to everybody about what the story was. So everyone felt very, not purposeful, but everyone knew kind of the story we were trying to tell. And the writing is so good that, and he picks people that, you kind of want to work with. So there's nothing to work on.
Yeah.
There was a lot of, mutual respect and focus. And it was really one of the best sets to be on.
Did Eji sort of know who you guys were? I don't know if he'd seen any of your work. I mean, I would be freaking out if my mom was Black Widow, but
he did. He did.
Okay.
Yeah, he came. He was Kylo Ren for Halloween, I think.
You're kidding.
Yeah, before he had met me, but after, I think after he met me, he's like, oh, this is the guy.
Never meet your heroes.
Yeah. Flush that shit down the toilet.
Right. You're kidding. So what was your initial meeting like? Was he impressed or?
Oh, I don't know. He was in Doug Abel's office, our casting director in New York, and I had seen a tape of him. So Noah and I went and read with him, and I think twice, and it was just it was obvious right away. Yeah. It was him and some other guys, and it was just right away. He was incredible.
You don't think he was a little intimidated, or did he just not show it?
I mean, I'm trying to tell myself that he was, wildly scared, and but no, I don't think he was intimidated. No.
At what point did you find out that was his Halloween?
He
costume?
told me straight away, and then his dad confirmed it, but it didn't. It was okay. It was all good. It's all good. He's really great. He's he's like one of those kids where you're like, oh, I'm going to have to tell them, it's okay. Don't, just relax. And then after a couple takes, you're like, how was I? Actually, what did you think of how I was? He's very in control and, composed beyond his years.
What is it like to be a Halloween costume? This is something I don't get to ask people. Do they come to your door on Halloween? Or?
No. If people came to my door, I'd arrest them. What's it like to be a Halloween costume?
Yeah. I mean, are you tickled when you see photos like
that?
Yeah.
I like it. I actually had this image of one time I was in a car, driving around to my house, and I saw this mom juggling 2 lightsabers, and like her kids are running around. They're dressed as but just something about her like fussing with this, stroller and these lightsabers. Was really funny. But I like it. We have a lot of kids in our building, and they.
Oh yeah.
We have a very interesting dynamic.
Yes, you've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Do they wait for you in the morning, or
no?
Just
No. It's
okay.
all we say. It's all cool. It's all good. No, it's nice. I guess.
Yeah.
I have no control over it. It's just
right.
it's nice. That's the best part of those movies is the. the families that watch them together
Yeah.
and things like that, like Halloween. They're very much a communal, those movies in particular, a communal thing, which is really, it's kind of surreal to be a part of.
Kylo Ren might be pushed out of Halloween this year by Baby Yoda. Just preparing you.
Okay.
There's going to be a lot of Baby Yodas this year.
Right.
Have you checked out that show yet?
I have not.
Oh,
I have not.
it's so good.
Is it?
It's pretty, yeah. I mean, I don't even know if the show is good, but Baby Yoda is so damn cute. You can't stop watching him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my recommendation for the year, which of course, brings us back to Stephen Sondheim.
Okay.
No, I am going to belabor this a little only because so much has been made, rightfully so, of the scene. First of all, you have a great singing voice.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, is that something have you trained at all? You want to applaud? Go ahead.
No, you don't have to.
I was kind of like I didn't know you could sing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, I sang in high school. I was in like the choir in high school, and
You did Into the Woods.
I did Into.
You've
That's right.
done
I
Stephen
did.
Sondheim
I did.
before.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah.
Have you done any other Sondheim?
No, I did that, and then at Juilliard you have to have a singing class. So I sang that. They did this thing called a cabaret where you go out in town in New York and sing in a cabaret as your class, and so I had done that.
So you're singing on camera, and I think it's all done in one take, if
Yeah.
I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Again, is that a day you dread or look forward to, or both?
No, yeah, mostly dread.
Yeah.
Well, I think if it was singing and you were just focusing on the quality of your voice, then it would be more nerve-wracking. But I think where Noah put it, again, we had talked about doing a company, we couldn't figure it out. And then when I read the script, where Noah put it, I thought was a really beautiful thing. And what it did, what great musical theater does, is that you're watching a character not sing a song and it's beautiful, but they're transitioning into something else. They're different at the end of the song than they are at the beginning. And to put it where, my character spends the majority of the first half of the movie on the back foot, that he's, Nicole has already made the decision that she's going to reclaim what she thinks that she's lost. So she's very, very much for momentum, and he's trying to find his footing. And it's only, I think, really at the beginning of, is it through abstract, song that's impromptu, which I think, and again, through something that he knows by heart. It's in his repertoire. He's seen it a million times. He knows, the Dean Jones version. He, has seen every version of it. But even then, it still takes him by surprise because it goes on autopilot, which is similar to working on Noah's movie. You figure out the structure of it, so you don't have to worry about that. And then you just have to, say it and mean it and see where it goes. So it's only through something abstract can he begin to process something that he's lost. And it's through singing a character, saying lyrics from a character who is also saying the thing that I thought I didn't want the most is actually the thing that I want the most, which is, as someone to hold me too close, hurt me too deep, sit in my chair and ruin my sleep. I thought I didn't want love, but actually it's the thing I have. And this character, for the first time, I thought I had it. Now it's gone, and I had it, and I didn't take advantage of it, or I didn't treat it right, and and he begins to mourn it. And it speaks so much to his character and his relationship to art, his relationship to how he expresses himself. He's someone who's very much into control. He's, a director, but he sometimes can't communicate that. But through someone else's lyrics, he can, and it's not a speech where he says how he feels, which I hate in movies, where I feel this way and I'm saying the thing that I feel. It takes him by surprise. So those are the things that we're focusing, or that I was focusing on when we're singing it, and not worried so much about like, does it sound good?
Yeah.
It's more important, is the story clear, that this thing that he thought he knew innately, suddenly in a different context takes him by surprise, which is, what I love about movies and theater. It's a group of people who are coming in, bringing all their baggage, and there's something about where they are now at the moment is reflected off of what they're seeing with other strangers, and it speaks to them in a way that maybe if they'd seen it a week before, it didn't. I'm getting off topic.
No. This is why I made you give the log line of Company in the beginning, because it's so crazy how it works on so many levels, whether you've seen Company or not.
Right.
Because
Yeah,
I
it
know
doesn't
people
matter.
have never seen the show, yet I'm still friends with them, and they get all that, And then if you know the character of Bobby, it is so crazy to see. The realization upon realization that he goes through. Yeah, it's astounding.
That's kind of what I mean by Noah's script at the beginning. It's pretty great how the scenes themselves are great, but the layers and thought that were put into its construction, really, it's really meant to be digested over and over and over again. It's like people who it'd be like building a car for one trip, but he's really made something that has life to it.
Oh, speaking of, how many people here saw this for the first time tonight? Wow. Okay, see, that kind of go home. I'm sure you all have Netflix accounts. Watch it again, because it is a movie that, like, every time you watch it, you notice something different. Mm-hmm. It's. I mean, you probably. Well, no. I'm sorry. You probably haven't watched it, have you?
No.
Okay. But it's like, it's really fascinating to me. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, even in our conversations, we still talk about the movie. It's done. We can't change it. And there's no. Yeah. But even to us, there's things about it that we're like, oh yeah, we didn't really think. We had this. We were talking about it the other day, and we didn't realize that Eji is, or Henry is trying to speak throughout the course of the movie. He's trying to find language, and it so mirrors what is going on in his character that it's not until he reads the letter does he really start to find language to articulate this thing that's happening to him. And it was something that was totally unconscious that when we were making it. But it's kind of that thing what I mean where, like, in Noah's writing, that it comes from an abstract place that I don't even think that he's analyzed in a sense, and so things like that.
That's crazy when you work on it, or you even write and direct the movie, and you start to realize things after it's done.
Yeah, well, so it's kind of weird when people ask you, what does it mean? Mm-hmm. Because you're like, I in a way, I don't know. And it's not really for me to say to shortchange what you think it is, because whatever it is to you, it's going to be more interesting than what it is to me. But you have to say something, so yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'll just skip that last question.
No.
No, actually,
No, I'm kidding.
I know you're either shooting now or you maybe you've already finished a musical.
Yeah.
Did this sort of give you the confidence to take on a full-fledged musical?
No, we had we've been trying to make it for 6 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
This Leos Carax movie. Leos Carax is an amazing French filmmaker.
Holy Motors.
Oh my
and God.
Lovers on the Bridge, and Polar X. All these great movies. And we've been talking. Yeah, we talked about this 6 years ago. The group, the Sparks, wrote the music for this kind of rock opera, and because of schedule and time, like, it just didn't happen until this past year. Or last year, at the end of last year.
Are you shooting that now, or are you done?
We finished it, yeah.
Oh, you're done?
Yeah.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah.
Was it fun, actually?
Yeah. It was incredibly fun. I don't, Leos, if you know his movies at all, they are some of the most inventive, rare movies, I think, ever made. I heard someone say about him that he makes a movie as if he's figuring out how to make a movie, like he's making a movie for the first time, which I think is a great compliment. If we could all, be actors like that, of how are we figuring it out for the first time, and you get that, you get a script from Leo, and I've never had so many directors ask me what it's like to work with another director than with Leos Carax. Yeah, everyone's like, what's his scripts look like, and they don't look like traditional scripts. They're so poetic, his movies, and the way he works is so poetic that. It's really easy to get, seduced by him, and you just get into his world, and it's pretty. And I'm saying that apart from me being in it, it was really special to work on.
I mean, so check out Holy Motors, then watch Marriage Story again, then Baby Yoda. Those are my recommendations
right.
for you too. Yeah. Just also looking at other things ahead. I was so excited. You're going to be hosting Saturday Night Live again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea yet what you'll be doing? Will we see a return of Abraham Parnassus?
A lot of people have asked me that. No, I have no idea.
Would you be up for that? I don't know what he could do. possibly.
I don't know. Go to another classroom. I don't know.
Bring your son to work.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, I have no control over.
Really, you don't get to throw out ideas?
Oh, you totally can. Yeah, I never do. They always ask you, like, do you have any ideas? And I say no. And then it's a very short day, and then I give me whatever they give me.
So we don't know yet if we can see a return of Matt the Radar Technician.
Don't know. I have
I'm
idea.
Curious about him too.
Yeah. That was fun.
Do you have to run that by Lucasfilm or JJ or anything when you're going to be playing Kylo Ren in a sketch?
I think so. The first we didn't run it by them. I don't think we just kind of. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I think what happened was we just said we were going to do it. Can we borrow a costume? And,
I wondered.
And they said, yeah. They sent us. They sent the costume, and I think because it was JJ and Lauren and everybody. I think it was. I don't know if they saw it beforehand, but they definitely knew it was happening and helped us make it.
I wondered where you got the lightsaber. Honestly,
I don't know where the lightsaber came from. I feel like the toys are not really very dissimilar from the actual thing. They've given me some of the toys. I'm like, this is pretty good to what it is that we actually use. Yeah.
And JJ had done Saturday Night Live actually with he had done
at that
auditions.
Point.
So he obviously has a sense of humor about it.
Oh yeah. It was all good, and they helped us. They helped us make it.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah. But it's like similar with everything. Like a special guy had to come from Disney and bring it in a suitcase and
Was he like handcuffed to it?
No. But it is like, they take it very seriously.
I mean, as well they should.
Yeah.
I do want to take some questions from the audience, and I apologize in advance if I butcher anyone's name. I feel your pain. So I think it's Kareem Marbury. Is that correct? I got it right? Great. Wants to know, at what age were you attracted to acting and why?
I didn't really think of acting as a realistic profession until I got out of the military. But then subsequently, I think that ever since I was a kid, I think I always was interested in acting. My grandfather had taped all these movies off TV, on videotape, where you put the piece of tape over the tab, and he would have, 4 movies to each videotape, and he would have them in clear boxes that were labeled, and he had 500 of them, and they were by his bed, and so it was very important to him, and that was my first education in films, because he had, the edited version of Die Hard and the edited version of, because he would tape it off TV, so my sister and I could watch it, and Audie Murphy movies or John Ford movie. It was a broad scope, and so I was always interested, and my parents were always interested in movies, and I think it was something I always wanted to do, but I didn't really have the confidence to actually go do it until I was out of the military.
I would think like the edited version of Die Hard would be like 10 minutes long. What was it like when you finally saw?
Well,
the
with
unedited?
Commercials, it's like 2 hours long.
Right.
I was just surprised. How many times they say fuck.
They do. I just rewatched it because it's a Christmas movie.
It is.
Thank you.
Yeah, one of the best Christmas movies of all time.
It really, I'm not kidding. I rewatched it on Christmas Day.
I'm not kidding either. It's one of the best Christmas movies.
No, we are so in agreement on this.
I'm not kidding. And Lethal Weapon. Yeah.
The soundtrack is all Christmas carols.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that until now.
Yeah, it's like rocking around the Christmas tree, and then it goes into that like very ominous,
And let's not forget,
let's
ho,
Lethal
ho,
Weapon.
I have a gun.
Yeah. Yeah, now I have a machine gun.
Oh, see, you knew it better than I did.
Yeah.
A question from Molly. Molly, did you leave? Oh, there you are. Okay. Wants to know, how did you get the confidence to initially launch yourself as an actor?
Sorry?
Sorry. How did you get the confidence to initially launch yourself as an actor?
I think it was because it was in the military. I had this false confidence when I got out that compared to the military, civilian problems would be small and easily manageable, which is it is an illusion, because it was a high pressure, high stakes. You didn't think that there's not a lot of places. I was talking about this with someone earlier who's also an infantry Marine. There's not a lot of places you can practically apply your skill set as a rifleman or a mortarman. So I thought that I can survive now that I know these skills, I'll go to New York where that's where I knew that actors I liked or where theater was. And if it didn't work out, I could live in Central Park, or find a way to survive on the street. Seriously. So, and then I just happened to have gotten into school so that I didn't have to do that. But it was only from that, that I feel like, oh, well, then I can try it and I can survive.
Because even before you joined the military, didn't you try to come out to LA for like a couple days? Or?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's right. I turned 18 and I heard so many stories of people just going out to LA and making it, and I didn't have, I loaded my I had a 1990 Lincoln Town Car, and I loaded everything in it, my mini fridge and all my stuff, and it was really low, and I drove it across from Indiana and then it broke down outside of Amarillo, Texas, and I spent almost all my money getting it fixed, and then it got it fixed. I was like sleeping in the car. Then I finally made it to Santa Monica. I know now. Yeah. At the time, I thought this is LA. Stayed for basically 24 hours and lost all my money, giving it to try to find out apartment, some total scam. I had no choice but enough gas money to go all the way back to Indiana. And I made a big deal when I left Indiana, being like, goodbye, world, goodbye, small town, see you later.
I'll never be back.
Yeah. I had a girlfriend at the time that I was very much like, I don't know when we'll meet again, it was total failure. And I had auditioned to Juilliard before when I first graduated high school, because I knew they didn't check grades. And
they don't?
They don't really know.
Now I know.
Yeah, they do. Like, it's kind of important, but if they see something in you, then they're like, grades, but I didn't get in. I didn't get in then either.
I mean, and then you joined the military, and then you got into Juilliard. Do you think that's coincidence, or part of that confidence is part of it?
Well, also I think I auditioned for Juilliard before wanting to be liked and wanting to be what they. But I think after having the military experience, I had not necessarily something to say, because it's a little vague, but I had a point of view, and I wasn't so interested in being liked, but it was my time to act. It was my opportunity to act. I looked at auditions that way too, where I didn't look at it as, I don't like the power dynamic. It also has nothing to do with the thing itself. Auditioning has no relationship to the actual thing. People want you to be a set thing. They don't have time for you to, evolve so I just looked at it as like, this is my opportunity to act how I want to do the scene, and for me, it was a good lesson in taking control for myself, not surrendering that. So I think maybe that's what it was.
I'm guessing you haven't auditioned in a while. Do you remember the last time?
I don't. Someone asked me that the other day, but I can't remember what it was.
You don't miss it at all, do you?
No, absolutely not.
Yep.
No, it sucks. You often spend more money auditioning than to be an actor is like, it's ridiculous. Especially for women, the guys can kind of just show up and, wear whatever and, be disgusting. Women have to do all of this shit and you spend all this money, and then they never give you the right thing anyway. You show up, it's the wrong thing. It's really absurd. You should, that's not scene 2. We're not doing that anymore. We're okay. I'll just waste my fucking time. It's a colossal waste of time. And then often they want you to be a finished product anyway, and that's not what you've been told. Acting is going to be. Right. And often the conversations that you think you're going to have, you're not. Going to have. They want you to be the thing, and even just being on the other side of this now of why people get jobs and why people don't is really it really is a fucking miracle to make a living as an actor, let alone get the opportunity to work with people that you admire. Just to make a living is crazy, and the stars that have to align, or the timing that has to is a hard. There is no arithmetic to it, So it's it's a long answer to say.
No, I'm shocked any movie ever gets made. Honestly, with everything that goes into it.
Yeah, or that people that it's their job. You know, even that is an embarrassment of riches to the you know. Anyway, whatever. Auditions, yeah, suck.
That's what it boils down to. Auditions suck.
Yeah.
Question from Dave. Dave G. How do you pronounce your last name? Dave? Gillage. Wants to know if the script was followed to the letter or if there was any improv or on-the-spot rewriting of scenes as it was happening.
No, if there was, it would change really in minutia. Like it would be, you know, they have as opposed to they've, you know, things like that. But the script was pretty much the script. But intention, obviously, as I was saying earlier, is totally up for grabs. If you find a different, and Noah, that's what makes Noah a brilliant director. It's not only is he giving you the space to do it, but he's a good audience member. He's your best audience member because he's getting an idea based on what you're doing, and it'll help you either go down that road farther, or you know, maybe it gives him an idea to do something entirely different. That's what I think one of his. Him as a director, I think, is undersung. Yeah.
He's so great with actors. I don't know, is he super hands-on or does he sort of trust you?
He's incredible with that. The conversations that you hope to have about character and plot and, you know, all of those things that kind of, that excite you in an actor that you can have with Noah. And he'll just go down the rabbit hole, you know, with you and try to make it the best version in the time you have. He's an incredible actor's director.
Yeah. Actors are dying to work with him, I know.
Yeah.
Is it Amalia? Oh, okay. Did I pronounce that right? In Rise of Skywalker, just kidding. The actual question is, there is a lot of trust between you and Scarlett. How did you guys find that? Was it through rehearsal or something that happens instantly?
A bit of both. Mostly, you know, we rehearsed it for 2 weeks before we started shooting. We went from all of the scenes, the fight included, and, you know, in a dingy, you know, overlit basement somewhere in LA, and walked through it, taped it on the floor, like very similar to a play. Then we got in the space before any technical stuff was in, just with Noah, script supervisor, and Robbie Ryan, our DP, walk through it again. Then on the day when we would shoot it, we would, you know, walk through it again just to go through the blocking. And that's kind of how we got to know each other. But there was nothing that we really worked on. It was mostly in the script, and that she's an incredible scene partner. You know, it'd be really hard to do that with someone who is just somewhere else. But she's totally present and pretty fearless, and a very strong, smart person.
Yeah. I know Noah has described this before as kind of a love story in a reverse, or a love story told out of order. Did you shoot sort of the good times first, you know, that we see at the beginning of the movie, or did that come, you know, at a random point?
At the end, I think most of that was in New York, so we shot that at the end.
Really? Mm-hmm. So you had to shoot falling in love at the end?
Yeah, wow. We did. Yeah, we did.
I mean, that's why it's called acting.
Yeah.
Question from Shane. Shane. Yes. Sorry, that was the lamest joke ever, but I assume Shane is here and being shy. Wants to know, with all of your training, how did you decide what aspects to include in your process? Do you have like one method, so to speak, that you use, or is it a picking and choosing?
I don't. Apart from learning my lines and showing up on time, there's no method that I have of. It's all in the lines, hopefully, you know, and in the costume and things like that. And so you're a part of those conversations. But the day of, I don't like to impose my way of working on anybody else, because I feel like it closes you off to maybe something better. You know,
yeah.
If the rhythm of it almost speaks to your point of shooting the love stuff at the latter part of. You have so little control over what it is. Even, you know, you're trying to lose control in a very controlled environment on a film set, but you often have no control over it. It's very strange that all these things are kind of pushing and pulling at the same time. So, yes, ideally you'd want to shoot that stuff first, I guess, but I've learned in a lot of things that in the things that I've done that you can do all the homework that you want, and it's good for your confidence to know that there's not another question you can ask. You know, I mean, there's infinite amount, but then you have to be willing to sacrifice all that work and you know, if something better in the moment comes up. because then you're just trying to make a scene be something that it is. So you have to know what it is you're saying. You have to mean it, but how it gets there, I feel like you have to find on the day, if that makes sense.
So as I mentioned a year ago, you talked about how you thought that this was Noah's, I don't know if you said best film or just, one of his strongest movies yet.
Yeah, I think this is the best thing that he's ever written.
I mean, I think so too.
Yeah.
But sorry, Meyerowitz Stories, which was my favorite till now.
Yeah. They're all great. I mean, you go back
batting 1,000.
Yeah.
What
always.
filmmaker can say that?
Right.
Yeah. I am curious though. I mean, with all the acclaim, and I literally don't have time to list all the nominations and awards, but I will mention 6 Gotham Awards, including Best Actor. Are you a little surprised because this movie seems like a very personal, very specific story, and it has become so universal, and people have really, really embraced it in a way that I think caught me off guard, because when you hear it's a movie about divorce, there's a part of you that freezes up a little bit, and then you see it, and it's this beautiful, I mean, it's funny, which kind of caught me off guard. It's all these things I sort of didn't expect. Have you been surprised how people have embraced it?
Well, the response I get after the Q&As or where I talk to people afterwards is how inarticulate people are about it. That it starts to be a conversation about something, and that something else that they feel very I like the movie. It's this, and then some other thing takes over. But it comes from a very emotional place, and I think that's all a testament to Noah and his writing, that he did that hat trick that I don't think people can do very often, of writing a very specific story through a very specific lens that is so universal. That if you've ever been in love, you can relate to the movie, even though it's about a divorce. It's kind of immaterial, So that's a really hard thing to pull off, and I think he did. And
at the end of the day, it is kind of a beautiful love story. I mean,
it's exactly that.
Yeah,
it's the love story told through the lens of at the end of it, which is also something that he talked about structurally doing. How can you tell the end? How can you tell the entire life of a relationship in its aftermath?
Which I don't think. I'm trying to think of times that we've seen that on screen, and I'm coming up blank.
Yeah,
honestly.
Off the top of my head, no, I can't think of anything.
No, it's really it's actually. I thought that I was at first wary of talking to friends who have been through divorces, but they have actually found it kind of healing in a way.
I think it's optimistic in the way
that's the word
in its ending. That it's not the loss of love. It's just love transitioning into a different thing, and that someone in such a molecular level, and you have to get to re-know them, and but innately you're going to be connected to them in some way, and they've just found a way, for the sake of their child and for the sake of themselves, a way to transition it into something else, and I think that's pretty optimistic.
That's the word I was looking for, optimistic.
Oh, yeah.
I want to congratulate you again on a fantastic, well, it's a new year, but I think this one's going to be good too. I want to thank you so much for spending time with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you guys for being a great audience, and break a leg this weekend.
Thank you very much. Thanks.